Good afternoon, everybody. Can you all hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes. Okay. So I can see we only have 7 participants. So and the meeting is starting by 4. We'll be waiting for others to join. So as we're waiting for others to join, I would quickly like to tell everybody that today's meeting is a combined class of all the programs we are doing this session, which includes artificial intelligence, health tech and law, fintech, intellectual property, artificial intelligence, patent drafting, and the energy industry. So we are having like 9 mentors today that will be taking us on rising capital on each of the fields I just mentioned. And also we'll have some of our mentees take their presentation and we'll learn from our mentors too. So for those of us that joined the meeting already, I'll be calling on some of our mentees to tell us a thing or two about what they've learned so far on this meeting. So I'm calling on Muchimba Mumba. I can see she's with us. Can you please unmute yourself and tell us how the mentorship session has been so far? Okay. Any of the mentee can just tell us how the mentorship session has been so far, what they've learned, and how they are feeling. I think Ephraim can also give us any remarks or comments. Abugan Ephraim, I think, is a mentor.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Ephraim Abugon, and well, the program has been quite enlightening. Okay, let me share this experience. My dad has a shop, a POS shop, and I'm always wondering. I used to wonder that this there's this thing there's this old POS, point of sale, fast-food, total wave, and the likes. Do they have any? I hope I'm seeing you can see it. I always wonder if they have any laws guiding them. I was just always curious, but let's just say I never delved in, I never tried to do any research. But since I started this fintech, and the researches that we've had to, I mean the topics we've had to research on, the whole ideas of coming together as a group, it's actually really nice. I was never a fan of group work, but you know, but actually this has been, especially when everybody decides to work together, it is actually very awesome. We trap knowledge from different people, especially seniors. It's actually really awesome. I've learned a lot, a whole lot, and I think I would really like to, to work in the fintech sector.
Okay, thank you very much, Ephraim. So we can call on another mentee to give us his comments on how the mentorship session has been so far. Any mentee can go quickly before the program starts. Okay. Once again, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Hussein Mahadi, and I am the backup moderator for today's session. Today is the 6th week of Jiipcc mentorship and internship program, fourth quarter, and the topic for today is rising capital in fintech, rising capital in intellectual property, AI, health tech and law, the energy industry, patent drafting. So today we are having a combined class, and I can see that a lot of our mentors are here with us. We are happy to have our mentors here on the session today. Okay, quickly, I'll be telling us what Jiipcc mentorship and internship program is all about, and we'll jump to our mentors profile before the presentation by our mentees. So Jiipcc mentorship and internship program is a quarterly program for students and young professionals across Africa. Mentees are afforded the opportunity to access valuable advice, training, network, mentorship, internship, discussion forums, industry updates, and resource materials from experienced mentors. The program seeks to encourage continuous training, development, and evolution in Africa and around the world. You can watch some of our videos on social media platforms like YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn, hashtag Jiipcc MIP. So some of the objectives of the program are to provide easy access to quality professional guidance, training, and resource materials for students and young professionals in Africa and around the world, to facilitate dialogue and network among experienced and less experienced practitioners and stakeholders, to transform mentees into mentors and leaders for the next generation, and finally, to facilitate further mentorship, internship, scholarship, and job placements for the mentees. So like I said earlier, I'm the backup moderator for today's session. I think our moderator is on the call with us, so I'll hand over to Jiipcc Favor to continue the moderation from here. Thank you very much.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, my name is Jiipcc Favor. I really apologize for coming in late. I'll just take over from where Mr. Hussein stopped. Okay, so in line with that, the introduction of the program, we'll be talking about announcements. So the announcement, firstly, is that please, if you are we want you to edit your names to like your original names. Yes, please edit it. If you are using iPhone, if you are connected using iPhone, please just edit it to your original names. And then preparation for the week 8 projects. The week 8 project, please, all groups should take notice of that. They should prepare greatly for the week 8 project. Yes. Then moving on, I want to talk about the mentors for today. Just talk about their profile. Just read out their profile briefly, because we have a lot of mentors for today. So, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure. So our mentors, first off, we have Gabriel Udo for AI. So I'll just wait for Mr. Hussein to share the screen so that I can read out his profile from there. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm trying to share the screen. I think my network is like fluctuating. Kindly give me a second, or you can just start reading the profile where I try to share the screen. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Okay, so okay, let me just start with the healthcare finance. That's health tech and law. Yes, the mentor for today, we have Mr. Afolabi Emmanuel. Yes, Mr. Afolabi Emmanuel is a product and growth hacker with over 8 years of experience in health and fintech space, working and consulting with brands such as One Doctor, Healthcare, Life Bank, Emergency Response Africa, Market Doctors, Aladdin Digital Bank, among others. He has had extensive experience in market research, building customer journeys, and creating marketing campaigns, both offline and online. So we have Mr. Afolabi Emmanuel. Please, can you hear me? Am I clear enough?
Yes, you're clear.
Okay, so for the mentors that we have under the health tech and law, again, we have Dr. Princess Ifoma Ike. So Dr. Princess Ifoma Ike is a Nigerian board certified public health optometrist and management professional with 9 years of professional experience and management skill in designing and implementing holistic eye care and advocacy programs, including health communication advocacy, leadership, and project management aimed at bridging the yawning gap in eye care provision and delivery in Nigeria. Currently, Princess is the CEO of African Vision Eye Clinic Limited, Abuja, Aqua Eye Clinic Limited, and Aqua Eye Foundation, both situated in Anambra State. So we have Dr. Princess Ifoma Ike as also the mentor for health tech and law for today's mentorship program. So we'll be moving on to AI. We have the mentor for today for AI. We have Gabriel Udo. So Gabriel Udo is a research fellow and doctoral candidate at the Faculty of Law, Europea University. Please permit me, Europea University Vladrian Frakrons. I hope I'm correct. That's in Germany, and recently won the Doctor Akademische Academ Ostenschule Dennis funded position. Wow. Under the VIP fellowship program for the research project Intelligent Weaponry, Laws and Ethics. His research specialties are centered mostly on artificial intelligence and law weapons technology, smart city technology, and international humanitarian law, robotics, autonomous currently. Gabriel is a Beyond Fellow in the ethics group of the Observation International AI Future Lab on Artificial Intelligence for Earth Technisch Universal Munich. Yeah, so we have Mr. Gabriel Udo as the mentor for AI today. So for FinTech, our mentors are, we have Mrs. Teresa Chikwendu. Ms. Teresa Chikwendu is a technology and communication sector specialist with over 14 years of experience supporting the delivery of private and public sector technology and communications projects. She helps MTN structure and negotiate its most complex commercial transactions, ranging from capital markets, financing, mergers and acquisition, and project finance transactions. She also supports the business teams in drafting and negotiating mobile network procurement and business process outsourcing contracts. She's an expert in corporate law, having served as legal counsel and partner to several companies in the financial and telecom industries, both in Nigeria and abroad. So also we have for our FinTech mentors, we also have Ms. Peretimi Pere. Yes, Ms. Peretimi Pere she's a senior advocate in Alex Technology, Media and Telecom Practice. She obtained her master's degree in Information Technology Law from Fordham University, New York. In her role at ALX, she regularly advises diverse tech startups on their business structure, regulatory compliance, fundraising, contract negotiations, and other corporate and commercial governance issues. We have Ms. Peretimi Pere as our mentor, one of our mentors for FinTech. And lastly, we have Ifeoluwa Ebisemi, yes, as one of our FinTech mentors today. Ifeoluwa Ebisemi is an associate in the data protection / TMT, IP, and regulatory compliance practice groups at ALX. She has significant experience in representing and advising clients on regulatory compliance, corporate financing, investment, and funding rounds in the TMT space. Ifeoluwa has a firm understanding of the Nigerian fintech space. She assists clients in working through the regulatory quagmire of the industry and obtaining relevant licenses for their business operation. She was a key member of the team that drafted the Nigerian Startup Act. She is also a member of the team that advises startups on the appropriate legal structure for their fledgling business ideas, as well as provide ancillary legal services under the Founders Institute cohorts. So please, we have Ms. Ifeoluwa Ebiseni as our FinTech, one of our FinTech mentors. Then for IP, we have Mosun Oke. Yes, I hope I'm correct in the pronunciation. we have Mrs. Mosun Okay. Yes, or okay. Miss Mosun completed her law degree at Ogun State University 2002 and holds LLM degrees in the International Commercial Law at the University of Leicester 2013 in the United Kingdom and Intellectual Property Law at Indiana University Robert McKinney School of Law 2018 in the United States. She is currently a PhD candidate at Indiana University University Robert McKinney School of Law. Mosun started her legal career with MJ Onigbanjo and Co. Law Firm, where she developed her skill in commercial litigation and contract negotiation. She later joined the law firm of Gio Sodipo and Co., a leading firm in intellectual property law. While in Gio Sodipo, Mosun handled cases on behalf of multinational companies such as Microsoft, Guinness Nigeria PLC, Nestle, and Cadbury Nigeria, to mention but a few. She advised clients on intellectual property infringement cases and trademark issues while pursuing an LLM degree at IU Mekoni School of Law. So we have Mrs. Mosun Oke as one of our mentors, as a mentor for IP. Then lastly, for energy, we have Mr. Toby Amo. Yes, Toby Amo is a project finance attorney at a top global law firm. He advises lenders, sponsors, and developers on developing and financing of energy and infrastructure projects. He is qualified to practice law in Nigeria and New York. USA. He obtained his LLM degree at the New York University, after which he observed a fellowship at the International Energy Agency, Paris. So these are the mentors that we have for today. For AI, IP, energy, health tech, and law, and so on. So moving on, we'll be talking. The groups for presentation. The groups that will be presenting, starting with intellectual. That's group 4. Please, you have 8 minutes to present. Group 4, intellectual property. Are they here? Are they ready? Please, if you are
yes, we are.
Okay. Yes, please go with your presentation. You have 8 minutes.
Okay.
Group 4. I think group 4.
Yeah, please, the person in charge of sharing your screen can do that now. And then you can proceed to start talking because your time has started counting.
Okay, so thank you. So my name is Alice, and I'm a representative from Group 4, and we're going to be talking about IP financing in the music area, innovation area, and film area. So first of all, we're going to give a background of what IP financing means. So according to Will Kerr, which is who is a head of risk and insurance at ANS IP Solution Department, IP financing is the ability to use your IP and other intangible assets as collateral for a loan. So basically, you could license your IP rights, you could sell your rights, you could give it to other people to use just to get monetary benefits. So you could sell your trademarks or your patents, you could license them for royalties, you could auction your IP. You could auction your IP to get quick access to funds. You could use collateral. You could use it as a collateral to get credits for loans. Then we move to the advantages of IP finance. So IP finance helps startup businesses to actually get capital to start their business and get things running. And a disadvantage of IP financing that is more prominent is how expensive and technical it is. And so because of this, not everybody are aware of it, and not everybody can basically use it and use it efficiently. So we're going to talk about IP finance in the film and innovation aspect. So in the film and innovation aspect, in the area of script writing, the producer can give that particular job to a person to actually write the script. And so when that person writes the script and gives it back to the producer, he or she has given his rights to actually make use of that script to the producer. And so what he can get as a script writer is a salary or some monetary benefits. And so in the case of like an adaptation of a book or something, the producer has to get the permission from the owner of that work. So basically, to broadcast that particular, to adapt, make an adaptation of that particular book or write-up or something, the owner gives the producer the rights to publish that adaptation. And so the publishing rights of that owner has gone to the producer. And so what the owner can get is benefits, income, or some sort, an agreed fee from that adaptation. And also purchase agreements are also made to secure rights for screenplay. So the producer works with companies or industries to actually secure the rights to play his work, his film on TV, on internet streaming and others. And so we look at IP finance in the music aspect. Artists, songwriters, musicians, and producers can all use the rights granted to them in copyright law to generate income from their music. So for example, the songwriters, when they write songs, they can license them to artists and record label to actually make use of that song, and then they get income. So they are right, they've used their rights as their IP rights as a means to get income by licensing it to the record label and the artists. Musicians, so when they perform on records, they can allow other people reproduce their song, and so they get royalties for that. Artists, when they perform on songs, they can sell the record and then generate income from that. So you can see a reoccurring thing. They are all giving out their rights, licensing their rights just to get income. So it's a means of IP financing. They are using their rights as a means to get an income. They are giving out their rights as a means to generate income. And music publishers too, they work with songwriters, artists, and composers. They manage their publishing rights, then they license the rights to those rights to businesses to use them commercially to get income, and then they generate income for themselves. Then record labels, they market artist songs, they manage their mechanical rights and do all this, and then they get income from that. So in conclusion, basically, what we are trying to put out there is that IP financing is really complex in some areas, and so not many people know it. So we are recommending that awareness be brought about, awareness be created about the importance of IP financing, how important it can be, especially for startup businesses. And so it is not an ordinary electronic marketplace cannot take care of IP finances, cannot make use of IP financing, cannot use IP as a method of financing as it is supposed to be. So many people should be made more aware of it. And so that's the end of our presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that concise presentation, yes, and brief presentation. Please, we would like to take comments from our mentor, Mrs. Mosun Oke. Mrs. Mosun, if she has any comments as regards the presentation by Group 4.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, ma.
Okay, so good morning. I'm sorry I can't put on my video. I'll put on the video for just a second. I'm actually about to catch a flight, and because I had made a commitment to be here, I knew that I had to, no matter what, connect to this very interesting program. So I will just turn on my video for a few seconds for people to see that I am real, and I don't know, can you see me?
Yes, we can see you, ma.
Great. All right, thank you. So permit me to turn off the video so that at least you can just hear my voice, if that's okay.
Yes, it's very okay, ma. Okay.
Great. All right, so my comment is first, great presentation by the team. It's I like the fact that it was tailored towards specifics, movies and the music industry. And also, I think I know that because of the limited time, the presenter could not really do justice to her presentation slides, but she made mention of something that is very particular to IP financing, which is startups. I would just like to just clarify something, because when we talk about financing, you must understand that there's a difference between commercialization of IP rights and raising finance, either equity finance or debt finance, using your IP as collateral. So the different IP laws already provide for the commercialization of IP property, because it's a property right. So it's either you can do that through licensing, either through assignment of the other rights. And in some countries, they actually are specific as to the fact that you can use your IP, as mortgage. But sometimes it's a little bit convoluted. But within the context of startups, IP financing is an ongoing conversation right now, and it's because we are within the space of innovation, and we're talking about digitization right now. And we know that finance is the lifeblood of every company. But one particular stage of company that has found it difficult to raise finance is early stage startups. And this finance is critical to early stage startups because they need money to be able to conduct research, adopt new technologies, and then also commercialize their innovation. But because they are considered asset light, meaning that they really don't have tangible assets, most of the time it's difficult for them to access financing. And so over time, to encourage innovation, countries have come up with different ways to encourage innovation by accepting IP as collateralization for financing. And right now, I know that WIPO is working towards having almost like a harmonized law or policy related to IP financing. But let's bring it closer to home, which is Nigeria. I mean, research has shown that Nigerian startups is really making strides. I mean, right now, I would say that I think we have about 5 unicorns in Nigeria. And that is significant to show that our economy is embracing innovation. However, we would find out that because the country, Nigeria has run a mono economy for a long time, a mono economy dependent on revenue from crude oil. A lot of policies, a lot of requirements in terms of our securities law, our property law is has been focused more on tangible property. And one of the major challenge of IP finance or using your IP as collateral for debt finance is valuation. Everybody knows that if you go to the bank and you need a loan from the bank, one of the things that you need to be able to secure that loan is collateral. And the value of that collateral is very critical also to the loan amounts that you'll be able to accept. And so one of the challenges that a lot of finance companies, banks, investment companies have is how to value this intangible rights. And globally, there hasn't really been a standardized form of valuation. Countries like United States, China, Singapore have come up with their own method of valuing intangible rights or IP rights. But there is a need for a standardized system of valuing this right so that it can become acceptable to banks or finance companies. Secondly, and I'm just running through all of this because I mean, we can, if we sit here, it will be a whole long conversation related to IP finances. I'm just running through some of the things that you might want to just, for those who are interested in this area, you may want to just, think about. Another thing also is creating secondary markets. Now, what are secondary markets? These are markets where assets can be traded at. So either auction houses. I think the presenter made mention of auction houses. One of the challenges that researchers and people who are interested in this field have identified is really there are a couple of countries who have secondary markets for IP assets, but it's not prevalent. So if we can create more secondary markets where IP assets can be sold, it would create more confidence to accept it as collateral for financing. Also, insurance plays a major role in this. We call it enhancement. So, for example, a startup company goes to the bank and say, hey, I need a loan. This is my patent registration. This is my trademark registration. I have couple of account receivables. So maybe you have a contract. Let's give an example. Let me use the example that the presenter used. You have royalties coming from music, or you have publishing deals. I mean, the money might not have come in, but you already have a document. So these are account receivables, right? So most of the time when it's valued and an X amount is put on this receivables, and in most cases is discounted, what insurance does is that insurance enhances this value. So insurance company in some countries, specifically like I mentioned, a couple of countries in the US, what they do is that they come in and say, hey, we know that the risk of loaning to this company is high. We will come in to guarantee this loan. So we are enhancing the value of this IP because we've done our own valuation and we believe that this is a viable investment to make. So in sum total, IP financing really is very critical to innovation. And any country that really is desirous of being innovative and encouraging startups or encouraging innovation has to embrace IP financing. And I think I will leave it at that for now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Musun. Really appreciate that. So we'll be moving on to group two AI for their group presentation. Please, you have 8 minutes. Group 2, are you ready? Group 2, artificial intelligence for your presentation.
Yes, I'm ready. I'm just getting my screen ready.
Okay, please, Fintech, group one, please get ready. Please, your time has started.
Okay, so
artificial intelligence.
Hi everyone.
Hello, we can hear you.
Okay. See. Okay, so let me just, as it's going, let me just talk. So we are looking at the application of AI in finance. So if I have to look at the background information on this, I have no idea why it's not loading. So artificial intelligence is revolutionizing the finance sector. It's being used to develop and apply new technologies institutions fast. AI has the potential to transform the finance sector by making it more efficient, effective, and accessible. Sorry, 1 second. So, are you able to see my screen with just the slides, or is it with the meeting as well?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Can you see it with the meeting as well, or is it with just the slides?
We can see the
Yes,
meeting
we
too.
can see it. We can see it with the meeting as well and the slide.
Okay.
We can see you as well.
Okay, so sorry about this. So looking at the application of AI in finance, so there's obviously several factors of AI applied in finance. If we look at credit card and loan decisions, banks use AI systems to make more informed and profitable loan and credit decisions. AI can provide a faster and much more accurate assessment of potential borrowers. Credit analysis and scoring provided by AI is based on more complex and sophisticated rules compared to those used in traditional credit scoring systems, hence helping lenders distinguish between high default risk applicants and those who are creditworthy in a much more efficient manner. Anti-fraudery systems. Banks use AI to prevent financial crimes such as money laundering. Machines recognize any type of activity that is suspicious so that banks are informed and they can now stop or prevent the financial crime from occurring. Fraud detection systems analyze clients' behavior such as their location and buying habits. And when something unusual is recognized, the system then triggers a security mechanism informing the bank and the client. So a famous example of this would be credit card prevention, crime prevention. We're looking at risk management. The banking industry is largely digital. However, it still has and requires several human-based processes. That involves a lot of paperwork. Hence, banks use AI software systems that mimic rule-based digital tasks performed by humans to eliminate time-intensive and error-prone work. AI systems, therefore, can handle an increasingly large and wide range of banking working flows as compared to being handled by humans. Thus, AI systems are significantly useful to financial institutions. If we have to look at stock market predictions, sales forecasting, and trading, investment companies rely on computers, data scientists to determine future patterns in the market, as trading and investments depend on the ability to predict the future accurately. Hence, machines are great at being used in this environment as they crunch a huge amount of data in a short while. Intelligent trading systems monitor both structured data such as databases, spreadsheets, and unstructured data such as social media and news. Hence, faster processing leads to faster decisions and faster transactions. AI systems can create recommendations portfolios depending on the investor's short and long-term goals, as there are multiple financial institutions that trust AI systems to manage their entire portfolios. Looking at personalized banking, AI systems provide several additional benefits and comfort to individual users, such as in the banking sector. AI systems provide chatbots, providing clients with comprehensive self-help options, which in turn provides ease to clients by preventing them to spend hours waiting on call centers. A number of applications offer personalized financial advice and help clients advise their financial goals. These systems track income, recurring expenses, and spending habits, and then creates an optimized financial plan designed to suit a client's achievable financial goals. In terms of process automation, AI system in this space allows as a reduction on operational costs and boost in productivity. Intelligent character recognition makes it possible to automate a variety of mundane and time-consuming tasks that used to take thousands of hours of work and inflate payrolls. AI-enabled software verifies data and generates reports according to the given parameters, reviews documents, and extracts information from forms. Furthermore, the employment of robotic process automation of high-frequency repetitive tasks eliminates the room for human error and allows financial institutions to refocus their workforce efforts on processes that require human involvement. Looking at the application of AI finance, we now move on to the next two slides, that is the benefit of AI in finance and the challenges as well. So the benefit of AI in finance, you see there's a reduce for the need of repetitive work, saving time and energy, increased by profit by efficient targeting or spot-on recommendation, lower false positives and human error, enable friction.
Please try and round up. You have 1 minute. You have just a minute or less than.
Enables frictionless 24/7 customer interaction, make better data-driven decisions. AI and its impact on the finance industry, personalized financial services, wealth management for clients, new management styles, business acceleration, and insight generation. AI challenges in the finance industry is data quality, dimensionality reduction, biased data, and black box. Companies using AI in finance is Kensho Technologies, AlphaSense, Innovo, Synaptic AI, Secure, and Vectra AI. Finally, artificial intelligence is revolutionizing the finance sector by automating tasks, providing insights. Okay.
Just summarize.
Okay. So I think AI is basically it's transforming the finance sector, and it's there to stay and enhance its products and services. So I think we're done with that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation. We had to cut short because of time. Please, Fintech Group 1. Fintech Group 1, please, are you ready? You have 8 minutes as well. Please share your screen and then you can start your presentation.
Okay, good morning. Good evening, everyone. My name is Okanimi Toluani, and I'll be presenting for Group 1 Fintech. And our topic today is effective business negotiation. So we know how fintech are business as well, and they will have to get involved in negotiations with investors, with shareholders, with people who want to give into their company, people who want to fund their processes, and also so fintech, they engage in negotiation in different areas. So what is effective business negotiation? Effective business negotiation is a process whereby two parties with a common goal sit together and discuss their plans, their purposes, and their pursuits for that idea, for any idea that they have, and thereby resolving conflicts, iron out issues, and finding common ground and exchanging value. A negotiation is effective when both parties have gotten to a consensus about whatever they want to agree on. So fintechs, when they engage in negotiations, they must usually agree. They must usually agree on a common ground with the person that they are negotiating with, to be able to know that yes, this is an effective business negotiation. So moving on, there are different reasons why financial institutions pursue agreement. One, accessing novel technology capabilities with a nimble development team. So what is a nimble development team? A nimble methodology supports agile tenets like self-organization, continuous improvement, and evolutionary development. It compresses research activities that ordinarily take place to shorter time frames. So reasons why fintechs engage in agreements, engage in negotiations, is to be able to cut short the time whereby they use to maybe make processes or carry out transactions or make products. They can usually shorten it into a shorter time frame to be able to be effective in their processes and also in carrying out their negotiation. Then the next one is collaborating on new product offerings. So because fintechs are not standalone, they usually collaborate with other companies or other organizations where for different sectors. Let's say a fintech is involved in um, marketing products. So they usually collaborate with other organizations whereby they want to market their products. Then accessing potential new undertapped customer demographics. So fintechs are businesses, so they will need customers, and there are various companies that are involved in driving customers to fintech companies. So when they go into negotiations, they'll be able to do all this. So there are types of agreements. We have outsourcing and complex services agreement, collaboration agreement, cloud services agreement, reseller agreement, marketing agreement, technology development, and licensing agreement. So these are the types of agreements that fintechs usually engage in. So they engage in agreements for different purposes. For licensing, to be able to license out their product, or for technology development. We know that fintechs, they usually deal with technology in order to make financial transactions effective. So in order to improve their technology, they will have to meet with other tech people to be able to find out new processes in which they can carry out their activities. Then the reseller agreement, we know that they can also resell their products to other organizations. So moving on, there are negotiation strategies that fintechs must take note to be able to come to an effective business negotiation. So for fintech, a negotiation seminar can support the adoption of the following key negotiation strategies. These strategies can help manage relationships with investors, co-founders, clients, and advisors. So fintechs have different people to which they have negotiations with. They have negotiations with their clients, they have negotiations with investors, their co-founders, and their advisors to be able to find out what to do, what new developments to carry out. So there are different negotiation strategies, such as one, keep your cool. So fintech should be very careful about their emotional attachment to the deal under discussion. So the person making a negotiation with another company, maybe an investor, to be able to know how to keep his cool and not show emotion, because when the person shows emotion, it shows a chink in his armor. It shows that he can be waved. He can be waved. Okay, let me explain that. So we should be very careful about our emotional attachment to deal under discussion. We should not get too easily excited when a prospective investor waves money in our direction. So an expert-led seminar can equip fintech specialists to take emotions out of transactions and keep calm. Inexperienced negotiators may
Please,
feel
you
strong
have
emotions.
1 minute. You have a minute more, please.
Okay. Thank you very much. So we need to keep our cool when negotiating. So the next point is listen to what is not said. So too often people go into negotiations with preconceived notions of what their clients or buyers might say. So we can increase our negotiation success rate by reading between the lines, identify objections and opinions and hurdles. Next one is know your target price. So we need to do so fintech companies need to do their research before they enter into talk. So they should know their target price so that they'll be better equipped to justify what they're asking for from their investors. So if fintech does not know its target price, if the investor will be able to place the target price on his own product and this might reduce the value of the product. Okay, yeah, I'm rounding up now. So also fintech companies need to also create a competitive environment whereby their investors can.
Your time is up.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you very much. Sorry for taking time.
Okay, we'll move on to the next group, which is group 4 for AI. Please, the presenter for group 4, if you are with us, you can share your screen and unmute yourself and start your presentation.
Hello.
Kindly note that you have 8 minutes to present. Can you all hear me, please?
Yes, sir, I can hear you, sir.
All right. Group 4 presenter, please, if you are with us, and also the backup presenter, if the presenter is not available, please, let's be fast because of the time constraints.
Okay, sir. I want to share my screen now.
Please, group 4 for.
Okay. Can you see my screen now? Hello.
We can see your screen. Yes, yes.
Okay. So good evening. I'm Ephraim and I'm presenting for group 4. Our topic is basically on fintech financing and it's divided into 3 parts. That's raising capital, the funding round, and valuation. So well, as one of the major challenges. I highlighted a few points as my introduction, and the first one of the major challenges a lot of fintech companies face basically is funding, and it's not actually only fintech companies, but generally startups across various industries, various sectors, and a company cannot run without capital. A company cannot run without necessary funds, and when the necessary funds, necessary capital that the company needs or requires to run on a daily basis is not available, there's a very high tendency of it lowering aground or being unable to stay afloat. So this presentation I will also briefly talk about the various sources and means of funding of various fintech companies. Now we start with the. Now I told you earlier that our topic is basically divided into 3 parts. That's the capital raising, funding rounds, and valuation. So starting with capital raising, fintech companies they have various sources of funding, as you can see, and two of them are debt, either through debt or equity. And because of the more opportunities, or will I say the more security that equity offers, they tend to incline towards equity rather than debt. And but if they actually decide to opt for the debt option, they can do it through by collecting the loans from banks, loans from financial institutions, or from the capital markets in general. And this actually has to be permitted. That's to be permitted. That's to be permitted by the please give me a second, by the article of the association of the company. And most fintech companies, like I said earlier, they opt for equity. They opt for the equity option, and equity comes from venture capitalists and private equity firms. And tech startups in Nigeria alone. Sorry, please, I'm trying to look for a way to set this. Okay. Yeah. So tech startups in Nigeria majorly have raised about $678 million from investors in the last 4 months. Sorry, I made a mistake. The last 4 months here is not actually this year. I think it is 2021. That was the first 4 months in 2021. And then moving on to the funding rounds, and funding rounds simply means the rounds of fundings that startups go through to raise capital. It's like they are basically valuation rounds. Or like as we go further, I'll break it down. I'll mostly break it down. And every company has to go with funding rounds. Funding rounds simply is just to put it in layman's language to try to estimate the value of a company at a specific period stage, at a very specific period of stage, at a very specific growth stage. And as expected, if evaluation yields positive results, if the propensity of the company tends more towards success, you expect investors are more likely to invest more. They are more likely to to maintain their shares because every businessman, of course, wants to make profits. Then the types of funding rounds, I think there are about five. The first one is the pre-seed funding. This is the earliest stage of funding new company. This basically is like the startup capital. Yeah, the startup capital, the initial capital that is invested or poured into the startup. And the most common are from founders of the company, close friends, supporters, and family. Those that did economics in secondary school level, you should be familiar with this. You see, you get your source of capital that's under factor of production. Yes, thank you. So these pre-seed funders are simply just people around the people that are going to be around the people that are close to or around the investor, the person that is starting up the company. And the second one is the seed funding. This is actually the first equity finding stage, and it is what opens the way for the company's first steps in the industry, like market research, product development, team growth, and many other things. And also potential investors here is extends a little bit beyond that of the proceed funding. It also moves into angel capital firms, venture capital firms and angel investors. And now types of funding. The next one is the Series A funding. At this stage, this is a quite critical stage, a quite significant stage. And at this stage, the company has to take a step forward. It has to move from just mere business ideas into ventures that can actually provide for that can provide profits. It's at this stage that the investors are wanting to get their money worth. Yes, exactly. Yeah, to get their money worth. I invested into this company and expecting a particular amount of return, a particular profit. And at this stage, also, it's very easy for a company to attract investors because by the time they see, okay, this startup is more inclined to success. This startup is more inclined to give me my money's worth. At this stage, you see investors rushing like this to honey. And the next one is the Series B. Yeah, yeah. At this level, they're trying to expand the startup is trying to expand its market reach. Okay, a very good way I can explain this is by opening other branches. Like, let's say the headquarters. Okay, I'm starting my company. Let me use myself as an instance. Let's say I'm starting my company, my fintech company here in Milan.
Please try
Let's
around
get to
up. You have 1 minute. Please,
okay.
hello.
I,
Can you hear me?
yes, I can hear you,
Ephraim,
ma. I can hear you, ma. I can hear you, ma.
please, do you have one
Okay.
minute more? Just
Okay, no,
try and round up. We're working with time, please.
okay, no problem. Then the slides are here actually. So I believe this receive funding, the bridge or the pre-public crowdfunding. This number 6 is very important because this is where most private companies become public companies in the sense that the public are allowed to buy shares. The public are it becomes public limited liability. Then valuation. So valuation, like I said, valuation is okay, let me put this. Valuation is I'm trying to break it down as much as possible. Okay, trying to just get the value of the company, the financial value of the company, the financial worth of the company. And to get that, you need sufficient data, you need sufficient information, sufficient records. So you can actually be able to pinpoint, okay, this is the particular stage this company is. Is this company tending towards growth or tending towards this? And so for factors that affect valuation, I'm calling MANCAT and MANCAT positive link factors. The three factors are the fintech organization, the fintech company must be solving a real problem, and the ability of the company to build large customer base, and if the leadership of the fintech company, the executives, the CEO, the board of directors, whatever the case may be, have the passion and energy to stick to it. They have the passion and energy, they have the ability to maintain the flow. So, in conclusion, as I said earlier, no company can survive without capital. No company can survive
Before
without.
your time is up.
Okay, no problem. I think that's basically all. My conclusion already. Thank you, Ma.
Before your time is up.
Okay, no problem. Okay, I
So
think
quickly,
I'm done.
let's move on to the next group. Thank you very much, Ephraim, for that presentation. We are moving on to the next group now, and it's Health Tech and Law. Presenter for Health Tech and Law. Please, you can unmute yourself and share your screen.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, good evening, everybody.
Good evening. Can hear you.
Okay. So the person that was supposed to help share the screen is not available. I don't know if Mr. Hussein can help us with it.
Okay, you can just start your presentation. I'll quickly try to open the presentation. So just continue the presentation and I will share it on your behalf. Thank you.
Okay, please give me a few minutes. Hello, can we hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You can go on.
All right, thank you very much. Our topic for presentation this week is healthcare, finance, and insurance. So I'll go straight to our overview. Healthcare finance encompasses the accounting and financial management functions of healthcare organizations. So healthcare finance is like a overhead topic covering health accounting, the accounting department of healthcare organization, and the financial management department. Although healthcare finance and healthcare financing are always used, can easily be confused to mean the same thing, but they are not actually the same thing because healthcare financing is a part of healthcare finance. We'll understand better as we proceed. So the accounting department of healthcare finance involves the measurement in financial terms of a business operation and financial status, while the financial management involves the application of theory and concepts developed to help managers make better decisions. So simply put, we can just say that, okay, accounting department is involved in or is responsible for bearing information as regards the financial status of an healthcare organization, while the financial management department, they are held with the responsibility of ensuring that the finances are being run appropriately and also ensuring that accounting is being maintained using concepts and theories. So in practice, the two functions blend, with accounting generating the data needed to make sound decisions and financial management providing the framework for those decisions. What that means is that the accounting department, take it for example, in another organization, the accounting department is held with the responsibility of giving the information about, oh, this is the inputs we had for this month, for example. And after good consideration of all of that, the financial management department will suggest necessary steps to take for improvement and further income generation. All right, here we have the 4 C's of healthcare finance. The first one is cost. Healthcare organizations must be able to minimize cost for financial success. These 4 C's are basically the functions of, they are part of the functions and duties of the financial management department. They ensure that healthcare organizations must minimize costs for financial success. Another one is cash. They must be able to monitor cash on hand, because though businesses may be profitable, a shortage of cash can still cause crisis. So they must be able to have records of the cash that they have on hand. That is in relation to the accounting department, providing the financial status of the healthcare organization. Then we have capital. Capital refers to the company's revenue used to carry out various other expenses for better business. We can also liken the capital here as the expenditure, the total expenditure. Then we have control. Control refers to the adequate control measures that must be put in place for organizations to ensure accountability of expenditures and proper management of resources. Again, this falls back to the financial management department. They have the control of how that the business can be run better to improve income generation. Objectives and roles of the financial management in healthcare. Number one, they are held with the responsibility of careful evaluation and planning. This is done by the financial managers, who help in evaluating effectiveness and the overall financial health, making them plan for the future. Remember, we said that the financial management department involve the use of concepts and theories. So they can tell from the reports given by the accounting department, they can tell if there is a rise in income or if there is a fall in profits. So that's why they can evaluate and plan for further improvement. Number two, generating income. This particular objective of financial management is to assist the business in asset investment to ensure financial sustainability. It also helps in generating income while ensuring competitiveness by regular evaluation of prices of healthcare services. Also, they monitor the effectiveness of other departments. Of course, they have to monitor the effectiveness of other departments, because when there is not enough income, it boils down to them. The responsibility falls down to them on how to make things work better. Financing now. Finance managers are also, they also have to raise funds to meet their expenditures by various means, including fundraising, loan, or even internal revenue. They also make evaluation of cost and profit as well as debt that they may have, that might have been incurred during investment. So before I go there, I also like to talk about the last one, which is working capital management. Finance managers in healthcare business help in managing the organization's capital. Remember, I said the capital can be likened to the expenditure. So they help manage organization capital by reducing the cost and increasing effectiveness, as the company's working capital refers to the current assets minus its liabilities. All right, now, talking about health financing, which is also a major part of the finance management department. The major health financing mechanisms in Nigeria.
You have 1 minute more, Christiana. Please, you have a minute more. Try and round up.
Thank you. The major health financing mechanisms in Nigeria have government budget using general tax revenue, direct out-of-pocket payments, but I'd like to focus on social insurance scheme. Yes, the use of insurance scheme, since our topic is healthcare finance and insurance. So insurance is one of the healthcare financing mechanisms, and there are basically two types of insurance that are common in Nigeria. We have the social health insurance and we have the private health insurance. The social health insurance is basically the insurance provided by the government. Two examples of that, we have the NHIS and we have HMO. They are controlled by the government, basically. And we have the private health insurance. The private health insurance can either be an employer-sponsored health insurance or an individual health insurance. That is, it could either be that a person working in an organization has the employer-sponsored health insurance as part of benefit, or it could be that an individual goes to an insurance company to register by him or herself. So we have the advantages and disadvantages of each of them here, but because of time, I think I'll just stop here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Christina, for that beautiful presentation. I think it's remaining one group. I think it's the energy group. So please, if you are in charge of presenting for energy, kindly start your presentation so that we can start taking the comments from our mentors. Who is presenting for energy?
I'm here, ma.
Okay, thank you. Please proceed.
All right.
You can proceed to presenting while your screen is being shared.
Good evening, everybody. Sorry, I'm having network issues, but I think I'm okay now.
Thank you. You can proceed.
Good evening. Please, you can proceed.
Do we have a backup presenter if she's having network issues? Do we have a backup presenter for the energy group? Do we have a backup presenter?
I don't think we have a backup presenter for the energy group, so we'll just move on.
I
to
think
the next
Victoria is
group
here.
And probably we can skip the energy group while
Yeah, please just skip the energy group.
Hello, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
okay.
I'm sorry. I was trying to share my screen, but my network is
Victoria,
having issues.
please, if you can and start presentation.
Oh, okay, yes. Victoria, thank you very much for sharing the screen. Okay, our topic today is energy financing. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. You can continue, please.
All right. Our topic today is energy financing. And what is energy financing? Energy financing simply means the process of funding our renewable energy resources by either using equity or debt. And when we talk of equity, we mean the value of property an institution, a body, a company, or a government can own so as to finance energy resources or energy projects in the country. Then debts are those ones that you owe or you borrow to finance projects. Energy financing is very critical, if not completely fundamental, in any discussion about an energy project. Research and sourcing for funds can be very cumbersome and has halted various dream projects, if not terminating some entirely. Financing in most cases can either be private or institutional. Already, several funds have been set aside by various government institutions or companies to fund energy exploration and creation. A cursory look at renewable energy financing will show that considerable work has been done globally, but this inquest is as to the access by Nigerian stakeholders to finance their projects, and admirably, a lot has also been done. For Nigeria, being a nation that ranks 131 amongst 190 countries in ease of doing business, and access to funding described as securing finance for our energy projects. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Please continue.
Okay, all right. One of those projects are one, the Green Climate Fund. And this Green Climate Fund was launched in July 2020. Where it was for the African Development Bank
Please, can we hear the presenter?
No, I can't hear. I don't know. Can we all
No,
hear her?
Okay.
No, I can't hear her too.
Do we have a backup presenter?
Please, anyone from
Hello.
Energy can be a backup presenter.
Also,
Yeah, we can
in
hear you.
2020. Okay, can you hear me, please?
Yes, we
Yes, we
can hear
can
you.
hear you now. We can hear you now. Yes. we
All right.
Are you still
Also, in
talking?
2020, the is being managed by the Climate Fund Managers, in cooperation with the Dutch Entrepreneur Development Bank. The funding is expected to enable the construction of over 150 megawatts of renewable energy products, some of which are in progress because it was launched in 2020. And some of this funding may go directly towards financing the second phase of 30 megawatt solar project and distribution construction in Kaduna, Nigeria presently. But amidst all these, one of the key challenges to assessing this finance is the technicalities involved in the ability and variety of funding sources are available for startups. And that's very bad. They need more funds to come into the commercial fruition so that they can be seen as, a great body. Also, domestically, the question of how mini home grids can also be financed by consumers is also an issue. Already, various payment alternatives have been put in place by many domestic and international companies. The pay-as-you-go alternative by a vast majority of renewable energy dealers. Then the 4.0 by Fuller Limited, the PPT by Trina Solar, and much more have come to serve as alternative for customers to finance their own private mini grids. The importance of this energy finance cannot be overemphasized as it encourages energy efficiency. If our energy are being looked at, especially the renewable energy. Hello? Hello, can you hear me? Oh, hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes,
Okay.
I can hear you.
All right. We have the importance of improving this energy finance. One of the importance is that it improves energy efficiency. When this happens, a lot of people stands to benefit from it, both the health sector, private sector, the private institutions, industrial sector, and everything, because automatically everybody needs this energy for survival. Everybody, nobody is left out and nobody is exempted. So it's very, very important that the need to look into this energy financing cannot really be overemphasized because it accelerates the adoption of our resources, both internally and externally. Also, our need to create a more viable alternative and achieve a net zero will come at a cost which we must all pay rapid attention to, because everybody is definitely affected if we have a drawback or a setback at any part of our renewable energy in every country. Though most countries do not really depend on one. Some countries make use of maybe 2, 3, 4. They depend on 2, 3, 4 renewable energy uses. But even as they do so, they equally need funds to help them out and do things that they want to do with the energy. Also, there are future initiatives that we have to look into so that it can help everybody making use of this renewable energy in different countries and
Please try and
making use
round
of
up,
it
Favor.
efficiently.
Please try and round up.
All right, thank you. So the initiatives are, the first one is the cost of capital changes over time. Getting energy investment decisions typically involves modeling over multi-layer of time horizons due to the long assets and lifetimes. Also, the green state investment banks. These people are one of the body that can help to initiate and enhance future fundings. And they have already started the project in 2021, and hopefully, we are looking forward to a better funding in the future. Regardless of these financial initiatives, renewable energy sector in Nigeria is still largely underfunded, especially renewable energy products that cannot demonstrate financial viability. Some of these projects include renewable energy electricity service for healthcare centers, schools, public libraries, community development centers, street lights, and especially in remote areas. However, there is conscious effort put by some development bodies across the nation.
Please, Favor, your time is
all right. Thank you very much for your time and attention.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you also very much for that wonderful presentation. So before our mentors will comment individually, I forgot to make mention that we also have Mr. Gift Oyere. Yes, I apologize for not reading it earlier. He's a mentor for health tech and law. So optometry practice, both private and public sectors. He's a healthcare manager. Yes. He's a healthcare manager and a healthcare technology and finance specialist. So please, we also have Mr. Gift Oyere as a mentor for health tech and law. I'm so sorry for not mentioning it earlier. Okay, so we'll be taking comment from our mentors as regards the presentation by the groups. So we already had our mentor for IP, mentor for AI, who is Mr. Gabriel Udo. Please, we'll take your comments as regards the presentation by the group. Please, you have 8 minutes, sir. Mr. Gabriel,
yep.
So you have the floor.
Thank you very much. I hope everyone can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, great. Don't worry, I won't take up to 8 minutes. It's today I actually came to learn. I'm an AI specialist, but I don't have enough specialty in the finance sector to be able to make as much comments as I would like to make. That's just on site. But then with regards to the presentation on AI in finance, lots of things have been mentioned, and I just want to point out one thing. Just one, I had the impression from the presentation that AI used in finance is actually going to be flawless, especially when compared to direct human elements in the finance sector. And I generally, with artificial intelligence, I usually just have the perception, of course, from experience and from research too, that we are still going to have problems. There are areas where we're going to have even more problems than where humans are directly involved. Like in some of the major areas of my research in weapons technology and all that, we're going to have lots and lots of disadvantages also, as when compared to when humans are directly involved. The presentation did talk about the erasure of human errors and all that. I always have the impression that it's not going to completely reduce human errors. It's just probably going to replace them with some other forms of errors. Because at the end of the day, whatever you get from automated systems are instructions that have been imputed by humans at the beginning of the creation of the AI system. I usually make reference to what happened on a Black Monday. There's still perceptions. I think that's when the US, that was in 1987 or 1988, I can't recall, where the stock markets crashed because of some automated systems, some portfolio management system that was wrongly automated. So these errors are still going to be there. They are just going to come in different other formats, as in other areas, many other areas that artificial intelligence are being used. So this is, just on the side of it. I hope I get to hear comments from those who are actually specialists in the finance areas, because from the presentation, basically, the comments should mostly come from those that have specialty in the finance area. So most of the presentations are dependent mostly in the finance sector and just a little bit of artificial intelligence in it. So thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the opportunity to also contribute. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gabriel. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you. Okay, so before we proceed with other mentors, please can everyone try to turn on their videos? Let's take our pictures. Yes, take the picture and then you tag Jiipcc, and then you also say what you learned on LinkedIn and post it. Please, let's turn our videos. We have just a minute to do that. Then take a screenshot, you post it, and then you say what you learned today, and then you tag the mentors, you tag Jiipcc as well. Please, let's do that quickly. Please, we have a minute to do that. Take a screenshot, smile. Okay, so we'll be moving on to, I think everyone has done that, yes. So we'll be moving on to the comments from our fintech mentors as regards the presentation by Group 1 and Group 4. So we'll be calling on Mrs. Teresa Chikwendu. Please, ma'am, you have the floor for your observation or comments as regards the presentation by Group 1 and 4.
Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Just 1 minute, please.
Good evening, ma.
I don't know if you
please,
can
ma, you
see
have
me.
8 minutes as well.
Okay then. So just to wrap it quickly, I want to say thank you to the team for that presentation. It was a very great presentation. I took notes of Toluwani. So well done, Toluwani. I liked the effort that you put into the presentation, and I liked also how you made it a bit focused. When I wanted to talk about this topic, it wasn't supposed to be specifically focused on the fintech industry anyway, because my conversations with Juliana was that, in everything that you would do as a lawyer and as you go through your profession, you would definitely need to negotiate. So it's just a skill that you need to have in your tool bag. So I'll just take note of a few things which, I would add to the conversation, and then highlight where Tolani has spoken about it. So for example, whenever you want to do a negotiation, my first advice would be that you develop a negotiation strategy, because you don't want to walk into the room and walk in blind. In developing strategies, you know what is your win, what is nice to have, and what is a must have. I typically say that, at least for those of us in legal departments, you have your internal company policies, and to the extent that, you're negotiating with counterparties, if there's going to be a breach of that policy, you need to walk away at that point. So when you're developing your strategy, you need to be concise and to be clear as to what is a deal breaker for your organization and what is a must have. Again, Tolani talked about, managing your emotions. And I like the fact that she mentioned that point. In managing your emotion, she had talked about how, always keep cool and all of that. I want to say that, yes, you need to manage your emotions, but you need to manage your emotions effectively. Apologies. So you need to manage your emotions. Apologies. So you need to manage your emotions, but you need to manage your emotions effectively. It's not just about saying, oh, there's money on the table, you want to keep your cool. No, I personally advise, that your emotions can be used, effectively, in a negotiation strategy. Sometimes some people use anger to get what they want. I typically don't advocate that, but I just wanted to emphasize that it's not always about, if an investor is bringing money on the table, you don't show your excitement. I think there's a flip side to that. If I'm investing in a fintech, if I'm investing in a startup and I'm bringing money to the table, even if we're negotiating, and I don't expect you to be exactly overwhelmed, I should expect to see some kind of excitement, Otherwise, I'll be asking myself, who am I working with? Or is this the kind of person that I want to be, in business for the long haul with? Just thought to put that in perspective. Another thing she mentioned, was listening. And I think that that's a critical skill that sometimes, in a fast-paced world, we sometimes forget. Listening is very, very important when you're negotiating, because you want to be able to share, those how would I put it now? Things that people would not say, but maybe from their tone of voice or something. You just want to be able to take note of that and find out how you can address that. So I'll give you a story. During the pandemic, some colleagues called me and said, oh, there was this urgent contract that we needed to close, and it had to do with a financial institution. So I said, okay, not a problem. It's critical that we go to market on this product. So let's have the conversation. So we call the banker. In this particular instance, the guy is someone that, every single time I've negotiated with him, he just comes across as a tough negotiator, every single time I've negotiated with him, because I've had some dealings with him in the past. And at this particular interval, we're negotiating and he seems a bit distracted. You're asking him to explain certain points, because really you can't review a contract or redline a contract without being able to articulate the reasoning behind those comments that you've made or those deletions. So, I'm asking him to articulate the reasons, and I can see that he's a bit, his mind is not there. It's almost like I'm confused as to, what we're doing here. So, I just asked him, so what's the issue? Like, really, what's going on? I tried to be empathetic, which, again, is a critical skill when you're negotiating. And so he tells me that, honestly, he was actually in an exam room taking an online test when a director, called him out of that and said he needed to quickly, close that contract with us. So what did I do? I just looked at it and said, there's really no point in going through the negotiations when somebody was half present. So I said to him, you know what? Let's just pause the negotiations. Let's give you a 2-hour break. This was like 7. Let's give you a 2-hour break. Let's stand down, and then we will convene at 9 to continue the negotiations. And that happened. And so we reconvened at 9. It was a very good session. In fact, because I had listened to him and because I was able to make that concession, things that were not deal breakers for him when we were negotiating, he was willing to let me have those things. And then thereafter, it created a mutually beneficial relationship, for both of us, and by extension, for our organizations. I think the last point I would just make before I round up is that it's important for you to focus on interest. In focusing on interest, in closing a negotiation, it's not just about, your interest or their interest. If that is the case, basically what happens is that you might, hit a deadlock where everybody is positional. So at some point, it will be about, this is what I want to have, but how can I help you have, what you want to achieve? So you should think, mutually beneficial relationship, because you are in it for the long haul. Now, narrow this back into your fintech situation. If the investor, and the startup founder are all sitting together, and everybody's like, oh, I want this. The investor is saying, oh, I want 51% shares, and then the founder is saying, oh no, the equity you're bringing in, for the capital that you're bringing in, I can only give you 10. It really is not going to make sense. At that point, both parties both parties being commercial people, of course, and with their lawyers, we need to sit together to articulate what exactly each party is bringing to the table, because it's a mutually beneficial relationship and it's not a short-term relationship. And that's something that you need to be very careful about when you're negotiating. Sometimes some people will do, they will make some quick wins. If you make some quick wins in negotiation, you might get away with it the first time, but you will destroy the relationship such that, when you're negotiating with the person the second time, the person that you want, will be out for you. And, aside from being out for you, it just shows, a lack of integrity. You want a situation where, if you are dealing with people, especially like, repeat people in the market, in the industry. You want to build a brand and a reputation of being fair, and having integrity. I mean, if nothing else, a reputation of being fair is something that is critical. So one more, I want to say thank you to Toluwani and the team for the work that they did and the in-depth research. I'm also going to just add 2 other notes to the other speakers. So anytime you make a presentation, the reality is that something is going to go wrong. Sometimes it might be the network, anything can go wrong. So it's usually better, to just prepare. Sometimes you can have a backup speaker such that while you're trying to fix your network issues, the backup speaker is helping to, make the presentation in your absence. And sometimes it just helps to also, check your connectivity, before the call, so that if there are issues, you can fix them. So thank you very much again to Juliana and the team for having me. I hope that I'll be able to do justice to the topic. I'm available on LinkedIn to answer any questions, additional questions you might have. Or if there's anything you want to know about this topic, it's something that I like and I'm always excited to speak about. So thank you once again and have a good day.
Thank you very much, Ma, for commenting on this topic. I think it's very timely for everybody learning about how to negotiate. So with that, we'll be hearing from another mentor that is present for FinTech. So I think that we can hear from Ife now. Do we have Ife with us, please? Okay, if we don't have Ife for FinTech, maybe we can hear from Pere. Please,
hi, Ife here. Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you so much.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Well done. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure being here today. Well done to the groups that have presented. I just have a few things rather to add to what has been said, to add to the conversation. So regarding valuation, one thing I would like to say is that as a lawyer, we need to understand that valuation isn't exactly a legal thing. So you need to also be in the room, but it's not something that is left to the lawyers, right? And we have certain instances where certain startups overestimate their value, and they give an estimate of what isn't exactly the case, and then upon conduction of a due diligence by a prospective investor, you then see that the bubble bursts and the valuation drops. So it is advisable for you to tell your clients to carry out all housekeeping and ensure that everything is in place, and the valuation that they are bringing to the table reflects a true representation of the company's worth, as opposed to a bubble that the company is living in. So that's one thing to note on that point. Then for raising capital, sorry, 1 second. Okay, so for raising capital, right, as a lawyer, you need to advise your client rather, on what to raise, how to raise, when to raise. So there are certain times that a company might think that what they need is equity, but what they actually need is debt, right? So you need to look at the position of the company, and because debt actually gives you some form of laxity and some form and leeway with respect to how to use the money, as opposed to equity, because the investors would be stricter with respect to what you can use the money to do and what's not. And then when it comes to equity as well, you need to know whether what you're using is safe, or you're doing an outright subscription. So because even the valuation when it comes to safe is a bit more relaxed. The expectations from the investors as well is it's a bit what's it called now? It's a bit relaxed when it comes to safe. So you need to consider these things. Because, for example, now safe would allow a post-money valuation, and I mean, so you need to consider these things and know what exactly would fit into the company's situation. Another thing to also note, so excuse me. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so another thing to note when it comes to financing is in determining like the kind of financing to consider, you need to also note whether or not you want the investors in your business like immediately, or you would also love to exercise some form of laxity and some form of freedom with respect to how to carry out your things. So in such a situation, if that's what you want, it's advisable to use a safe, and because it's advisable to use a safe, and because this would allow you, I mean, the investors don't need to come on board. You don't need a representative of them on the board at that particular point, or they would typically not request for that. But then there are also certain times where you need the expertise of the what's it called now, of the investor, and it would be helpful for the company to have the investor on board. So you need to look at all of these things. Then finally, the last thing I would like to talk about with respect to negotiation is your integrity as a lawyer. So certain lawyers do not know when to draw the line. In as much as you need to be assertive, you go into the room, knowing what you want and wanting what you want. You also need to know when to draw the line. You need to know that your integrity and your reputation is at stake, and you shouldn't be the lawyer who would go any lengths to get what you want. I mean, it's okay to prove yourself, go above and beyond, but you need to set boundaries. You need to know that your integrity is on the line, and you can't just do just anything because you want to get your goal. Because that's how I see it, and that's what I think is the best. Your integrity should always matter to you. That will be all from me. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being a part of this. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Ife, for that comment, and especially the last comments that you made. So we'll also be hearing from Pere. Hello, Pere, over to you.
Okay. Hi, Juliana. Good evening. Hi, everyone. Good evening. So honestly, I think a lot has been contributed to this. Oh, but first of all, kudos to those who presented Group 1 and 4 of the Fintech team. Thank you very much in terms of the presentation on negotiation, and also the presentation on raising capital and the stages in raising capital, which honestly, though, it's not limited to fintechs, right? It's like mostly generally like a startup thing, and even well-established businesses still raise funds. Every business, like I think someone had said earlier, finance is like the lifeline of every business. So every business needs finance to thrive. But for you to get to financing, you have to go through negotiation, which I guess that's why it's important. And then also understanding the stages, and then, like Ife said, understanding when you need funds, and what kind of funds or what kind of injection of funds you need. Do I need to give equity for this, or do I need to take a debt for this? So even though the prevailing trend now is most people want to just give equity because it's more or less, should I say, there's a certain level of security in terms of giving equity. So you don't have to be watching your back. If you can't afford to pay back the money, then the normal legal process of the company being a how do I put it now, a legal entity of its own, it then it then goes with the company essentially. So if the business doesn't thrive, it doesn't thrive. If it thrives, then good and fine. You're not obligated to anybody. I think that mostly is like the benefit of equity funding, but it's essentially not the only type of funding. So let me piggyback to negotiations, and then I'll just wrap up again with financing. So in terms of negotiation, I think Teresa also like dealt very well with that. But there was a thought I had, which I think I also wanted to impress on the speakers and of course everyone listening, in terms of when you're coming into a negotiation table. So you want to be funded, right? You need funds. So essentially the investor or whoever you're approaching understands or knows that your business needs funds, but you don't ever want to get to a stage where you're desperate, where you just want to get funding. I just want to be funded. I just need money. I need this business to scale. Most people just want their business to scale. I have an idea today. I make an estimate of what I think would be what the company needs to try for this period, and then I'm out looking for investors, and whatever I get, maybe the first offer I get, I'm not patient enough to analyze or to seek advice, financial advice, legal advice before I commit to such, offer. I just need this funds. This investor, they're like, oh, but your company, it's just an idea, and if you give me 30% of your business, I'll give you $100,000. That's a good deal, right? It may sound like a good deal, but if you don't have the necessary knowledge that you need in terms of financial knowledge, legal knowledge, or whatever other knowledge you need, you may be tempted to more or less sell off your company at that time. So you may be looking at the short-term prospect or the short-term benefits of having that amount of funding for an idea that you didn't even think was that big. But if you're able to get, advice, even from IP, I think the first lady was on IP. So if someone is able to review your IP, and I can tell that this is good IP. So in 5 years, this is this could translate into something else. You then would not be selling off your rights or your company or your shares just very loosely because there's funding on the table, right? Or because your business needs funding. One more thing I wanted to add in terms of funding is, before you even go into seeking for investors or negotiation, bootstrapping is also sort of like a good idea, right? You want to be sure that you personally have invested in your business. You may not have all the money, but you have put out as much as you can put out into the business, and you can see traction. You can see that this is something that is viable before you go out to source for funds, because it's a very testy market out there right now. There's a bubble. Everybody wants to get funding, but you want to be sure that you've done your housekeeping, you've cleaned up your house before you're even getting to the negotiation stage and wanting to get money, even from friends and family, right? Because again, whilst you may not be obligated to pay, assuming you don't go for debt, but you go for equity, your reputation is also at play. You don't want people having an impression that, oh, this guy is just all out for the money, or this guy just took money from this, and he couldn't put his house in order, or the business wasn't even propped up to scale or to be successful, right? I guess for VCs and more established investors, they would do their DD such that the likelihood of maybe them having to fall in that scale might be lower. But then for angel investors and family and friends who don't do so much DD, they just want to trust you. You have a reputation, and that's what they're investing in. You want to be sure that that is not being taken for granted. So you want to do your proper housekeeping before even coming out to source for fund, and then you go through the process. Like I think before the speaker and before rightly mentioned, you have your pre-seed, and then you go to your seed funding, and then you take it up the ladder, right? And then also during negotiation, one thing you want to look out for is, one thing you want to ensure that you have, again, is that you have lawyers. I've honestly, I know that this may sound very, very, very flaky or untrue. I have seen startups, Fintech and other startups, who have sort of raised funds up to, I think the last I was having a conversation was about $800,000, and for some reason, they did not have I think they only had some finance guy. They didn't have a legal person go through their documents. And I was like, how is that even possible? Maybe even on the side of the investor, how are you even investing in someone who doesn't, I guess maybe they just got some template documents or whatever the case may be, right? But the point is you don't want to take such risks because, again, while it may be beneficial in the short term, long term, that may not be, it may not serve your business. There may be clauses that you may even overlook. It may not mean anything to you. It's just like a case of, what do you call it now? Isaac and his brother, I think, right? Where you sell your birthright. I'm hungry, I need this fund. And then over time in the future, you get to realize that shouldn't really have. The company now has a valuation of, let's say, 2 million or 2 billion, whatever the case may be. But at that point, you already have investors who have taken like 30% of your company's shares, and there are clauses that say that they still have the first right to purchase. And you know, all those clauses that just limit you. And then sometimes you even get to lose your business ultimately, like over time, when there are equity investors, and depending on what your agreements with these investors are, you may not even have the level of control that you would have had over your business. And sometimes where it's not even just a business, where it's a passion, where it's something you want to see grow, when you lose that level of control, that dream child that you had, that idea that you bettered, then becomes something else. It's just institutionalized, and people just do with your idea what you did not even intend for it. So that's a very, I think, good consideration. There was one more thing I wanted to mention, because I think a lot of things have been said, and I don't want to repeat what's have been said in terms of looking for investors to invest in your business. I know we would note that, or I note rather, that a lot of startups and fintechs as well kind of look to incorporate their companies, maybe have a holdco in an offshore location, such that the investors then get to invest in those companies. That's, I think, for most institutional investors, yes, they prefer to have that form of business structure, such that they're able to determine, in terms of regulations and stuff, they don't want to be in a terrain where things are shaky or stuff like that. But in terms of even having to do all those incorporation and having your company structure for this level of financing, you want to be sure that that is what your business needs. Oh, I need to set up a holdco, not just because I feel I need an investor at this specific moment. You don't want to rush into taking those decisions. And I think for this topic generally, it's an interesting time to have it, because we just have the Startup Act, which has further incentivized investing in startups, including fintechs in Nigeria. So you might find more investors, based on statistics, right? Once you have a new legislation like this, you may find more investors seeking or wanting to invest in your business. It is very crucial that you have your house in order before and during the process of negotiation and even getting this funding. So I'll just stop here so that I don't keep going. Yeah. That's my little contribution. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma. Thank you so much for that enlightening comment. So moving on, we'll give it to Mr. Toby Amo to comment on the presentation. That's by Group 2 presentation on energy law. Please, sir, you have the floor, Mr. Toby Amo.
Thanks very much. We'll start by saying that was a great presentation. I think it was good in the sense that it was a very short presentation, but it kind of it covered, within the limitation of time on slides. I think it did a good job of covering, what kinds of financings are available, and what are issues that come up, and what are examples of it that come up. I think one of the major points that struck me as very important was the group's point on financial viability. And I think the group mentioned that some projects in Africa or in Nigeria cannot access financing because they don't have that financial viability. And that is true. That is a fact. It's usually called bankability in project finance. And Some of the funds that were mentioned, like the Power Africa Initiative and some of these funds, those are usually done by way of grants or concessionary loans that have non-market-based interest rates. But those are limited. There's only so much they can do. So usually, if you want to do a huge project, you have to go to the private market. And while we can, cry from today till tomorrow and say, oh, there's no energy in Africa, we need finance and we need to develop. If lenders or investors are going to come in, they need to make sure that they can, the loan can be paid back or their investments can be returned and they can make profit. So I think just to add to that point is that whenever an energy project is to be financed, I think two factors to always consider are risk and revenue. Risk in the sense that what are the risks that are involved with this project? What are the possible ways in which the project can fail or the project may not be completed? What are the things that can fail, basically, in essence, what can fail, and what are the issues that lenders or investors will be concerned about? So things like permitting, construction risk, environmental risk, legal disputes, all those kind of risks. So the first question is, are these risks involved with this project, and what can we do to mitigate them, or what can we do to make sure that those risks do not become a reality? So an example of such kind of risk is the Mambila hydro power plant in, I think, Taraba State, which has been in plan for about 40 years now. But over the years, there have been disputes between governments and developers, among developers and contractors. And it's just been protracted since 1982 or 85 or so. So assuming lenders had lended into the project at the time, their money would have gone. So those are examples. I think another example is the Aba ring fence project in the East as well, which was subject to years and years and years of legal disputes. So the risk is one thing to think about. What are the risks with respect to obtaining permits, with respect to constructing this project, with respect to equipment that we can import the equipment we need and we can install them well, and there won't be any issues. And then once those risks have been figured out, then you think about how to mitigate them. And there are many ways, by insurance, by getting guarantees, and by getting the other risk mitigants that can help to make it more viable, like the group said, to the lenders. And then the other factor is revenue. So if you're going to get investors or if you're going to get lenders to come in, they need to have some level of comfort that the projects will generate revenue that can be used to either pay them back if it's lenders, or to distribute dividends if it's investors. So one way to think about revenue is, where is the need for this power that I want to, this project that I want to build? Do they need power in that area? Do they need the energy supply? And if they do, are they customers or off-takers that can indeed pay for, the revenues or the energy that is produced? I like that the group talked about for off-grid and distributed energy. They talked about pay-as-you-go for residential customers. But usually, for you to get that pay-as-you-go system, there's usually someone that kind of backstops the financing, because those pay-as-you-go, the money comes in trickles. So if you have a huge project, it might not make so much sense to be relying on this money. So usually you would have some form of financing arrangements where there's someone who has backstopped, sort of a large part of the amount. And then usually, if it's a huge project, you have what is known as PPAs, which is power purchase agreements, which are long-term agreements where you agree with, in Nigeria, I think it's the NBET or the discos or some, estates or some what we call off-takers who are buyers of the energy. And you have a long-term agreement with them where they agree to off-take whatever energy you produce over a course of time, and they pay for those energy. And then that's the revenue that you use to pay the lenders, or if it's, equity, you use to distribute dividends. So I think, I'm glad that the group mentioned that, but for the purpose of the group, I just wanted to add that just, digging deeper into it, and to say that once you deal with risk and revenue, you are in a very good spot to be able to attract financing. But overall, I thought the group did very well, and kudos to you guys. Thanks.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Toby. So we'll be calling on Dr. Princess Ifoma Ike to comment on the presentation by those who, the presentation by the groups on health, tech, and law. That's group 1. Dr. Princess Ifeanyi, Dr. Princess Ifoma. So
Good
sorry.
evening, everyone.
Good evening,
Can you hear
ma.
me?
Yes,
Okay.
we can, ma.
Thank you so much, Juliana, and the Jiipcc team for having me. It's an opportunity as well. Like I always tell other programs where I mentor, it's always a two-way process where mentees are also learning and mentors are also learning. So for myself, it's also a learning process. And well done to the healthcare finance team, Christiana and the team for a job well done, despite the time limit. I think I'll just comment on what I feel was perhaps omitted because of time, which would be on the challenges of the healthcare finance in generally. So basically, one of the functions of the government and at basic level in any country is to provide quality and effective healthcare services to its citizens. Now, for healthcare services to be efficient and effective, they should be funded, and funding has to be adequate. So the thing about the Nigerian healthcare system, or the Nigerian government and the healthcare system, is as though the allocation of funding for healthcare is just to fulfill righteousness, because if you look at Nigeria's healthcare expenditure, is relatively low, even when compared with other African countries, and putting into consideration our population, demand, and then the supply. So there are so many challenges that I would like to talk on. The first one would be on brain drain, which is something most of us are familiar with. So if they are not healthcare workers, if they are not comfortable, if there's no pretty much a good environment for them to work with, it's going to also affect the way healthcare services are being delivered or being provided to the masses. So it's something that has its own effect just from the healthcare point of view in terms of the providers, but it's also getting to those who receive these services. Something else would be inadequate political commitment to health, leading to poor funding of health in general, especially for primary and secondary healthcare, where we have more of the demand in terms of provision and delivery of healthcare services. Another would be inadequate, or will I say non-implementation rather, of health policy that spells out or shows how funds are to be allocated and spent in the healthcare sector. Now, we have also the government issues with the NHIS and the poor buy-in by states, which is also limiting coverage. For example, Anambra State is, they said the Anambra State Health Insurance Scheme, which even though it's pretty much in its early, or let's say trial stage, has been going on fine, which I believe also is because of the elimination of the middlemen, which is the health maintenance organizations. So they pay directly to the healthcare providers. Even though the fee being covered for is quite small, but in terms of efficiency and effectiveness in payment, is better off as against when we look at it in the national level or in the federal level. Now, one of the solutions, I think, basically, I'm trying to pretty much work with time so I don't go in too much. So one of the solutions to these challenges, I would say, is increasing funding for the healthcare sector. The government should massively, and massively is not something that, even though currently we have like a proposed budget, health budget for 2023, which seems to be the highest for the health industry for the first time. But even at that, there are also other factors that we also have to look at, like unstable economy, also an issue where, for example, versus public healthcare providers. So the private healthcare providers usually like they tend to have more comprehensive service and healthcare coverage because of they have better equipment, or let's say more staff, more infrastructural facilities and all, which is lacked by public hospitals and healthcare centers. Now, if there is no the consumers at the end of the day. Something also is, if there should also be a ban on the financing of government officials going overseas for medical treatment. So this is also a huge thing when we talk about medical tourism. If the Nigerian healthcare system is adequately funded for, there will not be need for medical tourism. So if there is a high demand of medical tourism by government officials and politicians, it only shows that obviously there'll be underfunding of that health system because they don't use it, they're not interested, and they don't know what the average Nigerian is going through. So I think I'll stop here, and well done to the team once again for doing a very, very good research. And thank you, Juliana and the team, for having me. If there's any other question, or if anyone wants to reach out to me, please, you can reach out to Juliana and the team, and I'll be more than happy to engage. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ma. Thank you so much, Ma. So we'll also be calling on Mr. Gift here for his comments as regards the group presentation. Please, Mr. Gift.
Hello, everyone. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and speak to bright minds, and copy what one of the mentors just said. That I'm also learning a couple of things that are slightly developing in my mind. So I think a lot has been said by the previous mentors around health financing and all of that. So I'll just go to a few items that I think were not maybe wholly captured in the presentation because of time, that was made by the team. Awesome stuff, by the way, very well put together. So I currently work directly in health financing. So the business of financing every member of the value chain in healthcare service delivery and the products that come from there is currently what I do. And to understand the problem clearly, you will need to see it from the demand side and the supply side. So who are the guys that are demanding healthcare? Who are the guys that are supplying this healthcare? How can we help the guys on the supply side meet the demands of the guys on the demand side? How can we help the guys on the demand side get value for what it is that they are demanding? So that is essentially the conversations we have. So one of the solutions that health financing brings to the table is, the outcomes and the impacts are far-fetched. But a healthier nation is a better nation, really. And the government, as it is, obviously is not able to absorb a lot of the burden of healthcare. So the way forward is PPP, right? Or they call PPP, private and public sector partnerships, to make sure that this industry is working and different parts of it, are spinning as they should. So one of the ways that health financing has occurred in recent times is, and one of the testaments to PPP is where, organizations fund the acquisitions of EMR systems by government hospitals so that records are better affect faster. And if you've been to a government hospital before, you'd see the lines that perturb them. And what the EMR would do is to just reduce the time spent in looking for records, reduce the time spent in documentation, and effectively more and more people can be availed of healthcare services. Another of the ways that PPP is happening is the provision of loans to hospitals and other members of the value chain. So the thing is, with healthcare, not a lot of equity is going on. So there are a few equity conversations around the nouveau or niche spaces in health, like health tech. And even with health tech, there are just a few companies here and there who are trying to raise money the conventional way or do some equity rounds in their funding. But typically what you find in the people who are actually meeting the demand side at the point of their needs, your local neighborhood hospital and pharmacy and laboratory and all of that, what you will find is that these are people who would rather structure their business in such a way that they can only accept debt. So the regular working capital financing, the regular asset financing. And so we see organizations these days leaning more towards lending to that health space in a way that I think they give them sub market rates when they lend. So it's another way that the health finance conversation is coming on board. So on the tech space, more and more companies are coming up to revolutionize, so to speak, the way that healthcare is delivered. I know Microsoft launched in Nigeria a few days ago. I was in that meeting with some members of my team to discuss how their new solution would be deployed to hospitals, the model around deployment, the model around financing that deployment, so that immediately everybody has access to better quality healthcare and all of that. So, these are a few of the concepts that are currently permeating the healthcare space. Also, one of the problems that Dr. Princess mentioned, I'm just going to elaborate a little, for financing healthcare is business acumen. So I'm a doctor by training, and I'll tell you that if most of the time, the truth is the doctors are not some of the smartest business people there are. Some people are probably going to come after me for this, but this is what it is. So the average doctor wants to see patients and make money. There is no structure as to how the money comes. What is the business model you are running? What is the pricing model you are running for goods and services? What are the shared care partnerships? How do they dovetail to revenue? Those conversations are not had. So you see that a few of the concerns, the hospitals don't grow. And if they don't grow, they can't serve more people, right? So a few of the guys who are doing this right, who have business management skills and personnel, and a few guys you will see that are actually doing the healthcare business on the large side. All right. So, and those are the guys that hospitals, that companies will talk to, private investors, banks, and all of that will talk to. So the typical pharmacy and the rest of them who structure their businesses in a way that is not appealing to financing, that they can't present for a loan, for example, or there's just no business intelligence around it. It will be difficult to fund. I'll give you the example. Most hospitals that I have spoken to don't even know what a management account is. There is no way to prepare financials to know the business position of the business concern per time. That is a problem with health financing. And a lot of the time, doctors are very slow to accept these skills. We've been in the market for a day, we've tried. A lot of the time, they either want to grow organically or they want a loan, but there's no clear direction on how they want to use the money. So business intelligence is lacking in that space. While I see a few private firms and banks who are going into that space, trying to lift the burden of ignorance, trying to teach them to incorporate better business management skills into the way that they carry out their businesses, so that in the end, we can finance this space and see much better outcomes that will drive better impact across board for everyone concerned and all stakeholders. So I think that's the bit I'm going to say, because most of the conversations around this have already been had. And again, very, very, very big kudos to the team that presented. I think you did a fantastic job. I would just say that in the future, try not to read your slides too much. But that aside, you did a fantastic job. You spoke to a lot of fundamental issues, and keep doing what you're doing. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gift. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
Jiipcc Favor, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Yes. Good. Thank you very much. Please, we'll be proceeding to questions. Sorry for the time that has been spent. We'll be proceeding to questions. If you have any question, please, you can just raise your hand. Then you unmute yourself to ask your question. Quickly, if you have any questions for our mentors, you can just signify by raising your hand and then proceed to asking your question. Well, if there are no questions, there were questions sent before by the groups. So we'll be taking the questions that were sent by the groups for our mentors. So Mr. Hussein, please, can you post the questions that were sent? If it's Hussein, okay, I'll just read that the question for AI. Okay, that's directed to Mr. Gabriel Udo. So the question is, what are the services in artificial intelligence? What are the services in artificial intelligence with finance?
He's not around. He's not around.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, I have a
Then
question for the mentors.
Okay. Okay.
I'm sorry, can I speak to that
your
question?
Yes, sir, you can speak to the question.
All right,
Please
so
just
this is
hold on
Dr.
with your
Gift.
question.
So,
all right.
Fortunately, part of what I do in health financing is we look for partnerships between companies that do what they have a comparative advantage in what they do, and merge them with companies who would need that, having their own comparative advantage in the market. So they both come together to work synergistically to scale. So one of the services that are provided by AI concerns in the finance space is API linking, for example. So payment structuring. So for example, this particular company has a product to scale, but they don't have a way to collect money, or they don't have a pricing or payment model around the product that they sell. So there are a few companies I know, like AppZone, like just AppZone comes to mind currently, who would integrate a payment API into your system where you can have payments done, and they'll collect for you, and then you can rectify at the end. There are also digital loan platforms where you go to a financial services provider, and you do your bits online and register for a loan or whatever quick credit scheme. Your BVN, and also you key your BVN and you press enter, and it brings out all of your details. That particular aspect of the app you are looking at is done by an integration between an AI service and a financial service provider. So those are just very light examples of how those partnerships work.
Wow, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Gift. Thank you. Please, Njam, I think you were saying you have a question.
Yes, I was.
Yes, you
mine
can
is
proceed
more
with your question.
Okay, it's a general question. We have about 5 different courses here that we took for this internship. So I've been thinking, because when I saw it, I was thinking, okay, which one should I go for? Okay, IPL is more popular with regard, at least to where I am coming from, Kaduna, it's more popular. So I thought, okay, it would have been good if I could take AI, if I could take health law. I know not take what I'm familiar with. I just want to ask the mentors, which of those fields would you actually advise a new wig to venture into? Market-wise, wherever you are wise.
Okay, thank you. Please, Dr. Princess, can you answer this question first? Please, ma.
Thank you so much. My response is obviously going to be biased because I'm going to tell you to go for healthcare financing for obvious reasons. But at the end of the day, also, you also have to find out where your strength lies, going by the areas of that have been shared. So you also have to look into where your area of interest lies. Also, is going to guide you. But if you want me to answer that question, it's already biased, which is healthcare financing for obvious reasons.
Okay,
Thank you very much, Doctor. Do we have any more live questions for the mentors? I think there are some questions in the chat box while we wait. So I'll just ask this question for the fintech mentors. What can fintech companies do when all negotiation strategies fail? What can fintech companies do when all negotiation strategies fail? Okay, so any of the mentors can answer, please. Do we have any of the mentor with us? So the question that we're asking is, what can a company do when all negotiation strategies have failed while sourcing for funds?
Well, while I'm not, this is Dr. Princess, while I'm not a fintech expert, but just to lend my thoughts on that, I might be right, I might be wrong, but if the company has tried on their own to pretty much raise funds and or then they should go into consulting by meeting those who are better specialized in that area to put them through on how to go about that. Everything mustn't be done by the company. You can also source for advice and also like strategies on how to implement better. That is also bringing what we call partnership.
Okay. Thank you very
Juliana?
much. Yes, sir.
Hello? Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
I would want to give a shot to that question.
Okay.
When you are going into negotiation, first of all, like the earlier speaker said, what are your expectations? What is your partner? What is the lowest you can go beyond? Now, what brings about what you just talked about now is more like a deadlock situation. What brings about a deadlock situation in negotiation? Where parties are not willing to yield or make concessions. So, but if you are raising funds, you mustn't raise funds at all costs. So consider your values of your company, consider the integrity of your company, which is the biggest, the biggest assets any company can have. So where you meet a deadlock situation, I would suggest first, you go back and reappraise the whole negotiation process. What led to the deadlock situation? Were you being too rigid with your own stance and position? Are there things you could concede and still retain your value, your core value, and still retain your essence and not lose ownership of your company to investors? If an investor wants to come and take 80% of the shares of your company, nobody will agree to such negotiation, no matter how badly you need the money. Now, If investor A or negotiation with investor A doesn't work out, the company can go back to the drawing table, throw up other options, maybe work on yourself and improve on your value as a company. Then you can then attract the funds you desire. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ebenezer. Thank you for joining us and thank you for speaking also. So I think that we'll be rounding up the session today because of the time. So if you have any question, please just feel free to drop it in the WhatsApp group and we will be able to send it to the mentors to respond, or you can take advantage of the private mentorship also. So I want to say a very big thank you to the moderator for today, Favor, and Hussein. Thank you so much for the beautiful work done. And to our mentors, Fintech mentors, Health Tech mentors, Energy, Mr. Ebenezer also, IP mentor, AI, everyone who has made today special. Thank you so much. And to the mentees, thank you for researching, thank you for presenting. Today has been long, yes, but I'm sure that we've been able to learn. This video is on YouTube, so I encourage us to also go back and listen to it and learn from it. With that, we've come to the end of the session today. Thank you for all those who stayed on the line up till the end. Thank you and have an amazing weekend. Please feel free to rest because I'm sure you need it. Thank you. Bye. Thank you, Mr. Gift. Thank you so much.